Hey Bob,
Hey there.
I was just gonna kind of follow along with whatever anyone else had because I don't really have any specific questions, but if no
Okay.
one else is here, then I won't keep you here.
Well, yeah, it'd be nice to have participation because then you learn from other questions and things.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry I got off Zoom here for a second, but anyway,
no
well,
worries.
yeah, I don't think anybody else is coming because they're usually on by before 5 after.
Okay. All
Yo,
right.
what
Well,
up?
I'll tune in next time.
Thank
What
you.
up?
All right. Have a good one.
We'll see
Bye.
ya.
Bye.
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 Tisha,
Hi.
hi there. I just had a couple or a person on that said since there was nobody there, they were going to get off because they aren't really aware of what to ask or anything. So let me do this. Let me answer this phone real quick, and then you and I can just go over some things that you have questions on or talk about things, okay?
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Hey, Bob. I'm okay. I haven't heard yet. They haven't got it back yet, so. Yeah, I talked to him yesterday and he said he's got some time here in the near future, so I'm sure he could come down within the next week or less. Yep. I've used him for 20 plus years. He's in let's see, not Longmont. He's in Loveland. He's down here all the time. Yep. So let me know and I'll put him in touch with you. Okay. No, I get it. Yep. Yeah, I know. Well, the only good thing is maybe it might be a little bit better market and maybe we can bump it up a little bit. Yeah. So what I'll do, his name is Jim Sirko, Sirko, and I'll have Jim reach out to you. Well, Mark's used him, Rick's used him, so I've used them mainly for the last 20 some years. Yep. So I'll have him reach out to you if you want me to. Yeah, I get it. I will get a hold of him. What now? What I'm gonna do is withdraw it, which means it's still a listing, but it's not active. So nobody should call you. If anybody calls you, just tell them, hey, we're withdrawn from the market. It's not expired. You should not be calling me. And I'm an attorney. They're gonna call you. Agents that think they have right to try to get your listing. Yep. They find ways to do it. And when it's withdrawn, it's not supposed to, nobody's supposed to contact you. Oh, I know. Okay, but I'll have Jim get, I'll get a hold of Jim as quick as I can and have him call you directly. All right, Bob, and when I hear about the fire, I'll let you know. Bye. Tisha, I'm sorry, but I had to take that. Got a problem with the listing that ended up having, must have had a fire up in the attic before he bought the house because he never had it inspected.
Oh,
So, yeah, we found out Sunday when they had the inspection that the attic is charred. Anyway,
what do they do about that?
I beg your pardon?
I said, what do they do about that?
We don't know yet. It's probably going to take taking off the roofing, taking off the plywood and replacing the plywood. I don't know if we're going to have to replace some of the rafters because it's an older home, doesn't have roof trusses, it has rafters. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. We're still waiting for a report from the South Adams County Fire District to see when the occurred.
Okay.
Because he's had tenants in there since 2008 and nobody's ever had a fire that they ever called on or the fire department told him about, which I'm sure they would have. So anyway, that's always interesting. So
Yeah.
what questions have you got to show houses yet or anything?
No, I haven't. I just had a meeting with Shanna yesterday to get my account set up through them.
Okay.
So I'm doing that. I'm probably going to try farming.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to do any showings or any open houses.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. What would you like to just go over and kind of talk about?
I don't really have any questions. I
Okay.
thought it was like just a team rally meeting or something.
No, it's not a team rally. This is more for knowledge before you go, it's called Know Before You Go. So it's know before you go to a listing appointment or know before you go to a buyer consultation or before you go show.
Oh, okay.
Are
I
you
don't have any of
up
those.
to speed on your MLS? Do you have RE Colorado now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been on there, trying to figure out how it goes and stuff.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So once you sign in, let's see, get that moved. There's a couple nice things you can do, just so you know, and let me get in here. And I unfortunately have a plumber coming to my house because I've got a leak in a pipe downstairs. So I may have to answer the door here in a few minutes. But anyway, that's no big deal. I can point him. So once you get in on your main screen, this is the screen you'll probably come up with. Okay. So you'll see like over here on the left. Now yours could be set up differently. This is just the way I have my screen arranged. I have clients over here that are on, basically they are receiving listings every day when there's a new listing that comes up. Okay. So now that have you been shown this part?
No.
Okay, so like I can go to Preston right now and they don't have any favorites or possibilities that they've chosen as of yet. So I know that Brett Waters has a few. And I can now go in on the back side of this and I can look at it. Now, I'm not sure what you can see once I get into this part, but I can pull up the listing and I can comment to him about the listings via email. All that I have to do is hit email and it automatically emails it to him. So it's a very good way of staying in touch with your clients or potential clients. And they think that, you know, you're actually sending them information every day. But it's what is this? Okay, it's really a nice feature because it just automatically, however you set up their portal, it sends them a property or properties that come on the market each day. You can have it come, you can have them sent to them the moment they go on the market, or just do it on a daily basis, which I think a daily basis is fine because sometimes there might be 10 new listings and over a course of a day and they keep getting new listing. Whereas if it's once a day, they get it and they can look it up and look at it. But it's a very nice feature that we have. And you being able to go in on the backside like this Curtis gentleman, now he sent me, he had 18 of them. And so I went through and commented on each one of the 18 that I pulled up. I sent them back an email and just said, hey, 115th Street looks pretty good. It's in a decent area. It looks like it's, you know, overall in pretty darn good condition. And so I went through I only went through actually 16 of them because one went under contract and one is withdrawn. But I commented on him and then he chose 5 out of those 16 that I sent back to him. And that's what we're going to go look at because he wanted my opinion of where it's located, the value of it. Is it overpriced? Are they offering compensation? Because he's a veteran and he can't really afford to pay any extra for my compensation. So we were just making sure that they were offering something that we had agreed to in our buyer agency listing. Okay.
Okay.
So once you meet some people, you can get them set up on a prospect match. And it's a very nice feature. You can even set yourself up on a prospect match if like there's an area that you're interested in working. You can have new listings that show up in an area or a city or whatever, you know, in a price range. You can be very specific about the criteria, but it's a good way to just learn things. I go through every day and I'm not sure if yours is set up this way, but you'll notice in the center section, I have the market watch. Do you see the market watch on yours? Now you can look at the market watch. You can go back 24 hours, today, 3 days, 7 days. That gives you the criteria for all the new listings, the coming soon, back on the market, anything that went on a price increase or price decrease, pending, withdrawn, whatever. And you can see those. So like before you meet with somebody, you can do like a 7-day and just say, yeah, you know, in the last 7 days, we've had 946 listings, which is kind of normal right now for this time of the week. By the time Friday, Saturday come, you'll probably see that that is around maybe 1,500 a week we're getting as far as listings. But note that we have almost a quarter of the amount going back on the market as the number of listings that have come on. So some of these new listings are actually houses that have gone back on the market. And then notice the price decreases that we've had. We've had more price decreases than we have had new listings come on the market, which is kind of shows you where the market is at, right?
Right.
Then you can also say, okay, well, we've had 1,000 homes go on the market or go under contract. Okay. So it's just a matter of being able to keep up on the market. So what I'll do a lot of times is daily, I'll usually go back 24 hours or whatever, and I'll just go in and look at all the listings. And you can do it by, you can click on price first, and then you can click on city, and now it's alphabetical order. And I can go through Arvada, Aurora, and so on and so forth, and just look at all the new listings and stay on top of things. And it helps you to kind of learn what the market's like and what's going on. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very good way to just start looking. Maybe you just go through and let's see, you go back and you don't even worry about that that portion of getting just the new listings, but you go in and you can search by city right here. Let's see, I've got somebody coming to the door, I think. You can type in Arvada and you can put in single family, detached. So those are houses, those are not condos. So right now in Arvada, there's 261 houses on the market, which is down from 290 about a week ago. So we've absorbed some of the inventory, but now you can go through and you can click on, and you can see the highest price listing in Arvada right now is 7 million. And then there's 6.7 and then a 6 point or a 5.4. And you can click on and just go preview all the listings and get an idea of what's out there and become more familiar, right?
Right.
Or you can go to the map. I'm not sure if you can see the map. If I click on that, can you see the map?
Yeah.
Okay. You can see the map there. And if you wanted to just look at what's around our office, which is not a bad thing to do. We're right down in this area. You can like click on this little circle or whatever and just draw a circle around like 1.5 miles away from our office. And that gives you 57 homes that are available. And now you can become more familiar with what's on the market just around our office. And you're going to see a wide range of price points because you see 1.9 million. And we're probably going to see as low as in the 400s. Let's see. Yeah, we have the $400,000 listing, which a lot of people think, well, there's no 400. Well, yeah, there are. There's some lower ends. Now, these aren't very big houses, but they are in Old Town, around Old Town, Arvada. This house has been on the market for years. Was a foreclosure, and it's just north of our office. You can look at the history of this thing.
What's the condition inside? Do you know, Bob?
I beg your pardon?
Do you know the condition inside?
It's nice. I did an open house
okay.
for Phil Heater when he had it listed. But yeah, he had it listed last year. So if I go back here, look at when he had it listed. It's been on the market a long time. But yeah, it's not a bad house. It's just north on it's just north on Old Town of Old Town. So how about you? Do you have questions? I didn't realize we had another person on here. It's a party.
I joined a little late. I'm sorry, but yeah, anytime I can join needs to be the market or no before you go. Which one are we in? Anytime I can be on a call with you, Bob, I'll take it.
This is a no before you go. That's it.
Perfect.
Bob, what about the expired listings on the MLS?
Say that again, hon?
What about the expired listings on the MLS?
You can look at expireds because you can call on expireds, right?
Right.
It's their fair game. Now you might have heard me talking to my client when we first started the Zoom meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I lose? I lost my share button. Anyway, I have to withdraw a listing right now because we went under contract Saturday. They had a inspection on Sunday, and she called me up and said, "Do you know when their fire was in the attic?" And I was like, I didn't know I had a fire in the attic. So we have come to find out that when my buyer bought the house as a rental, he did not get an inspection. He just bought it because back then in 2008, it was considered a hot market. And so there was 10 offers on the house, and all the only way you could buy it was sight unseen and highest and best. And he didn't bother getting an inspection. Well, he should have, because, or at least after he bought it, found out that he had a house that had a fire in it. So now we have to deal with that because he still wants to sell it, but we have a house that has is charred underneath the roofing and the rafters are charred, and it's not a pretty thing. So that brings us back to withdrawn versus expired. Withdrawn means it's still an active listing, but you're not showing it. Okay. And that's what happens when you, like in this instance, I am going to withdraw the listing. So he should not get contacted by an agent. Now I can almost bet you that he will get contacted by an agent saying, "Hey, I noticed your house went off the market. I'd like to talk to you about listing your house." That's not right. That's against the rules. If it's expired, then somebody can call him. But withdrawn is a whole nother thing.
So when you call in, how do you do you contact the owner or do you contact the real estate agent?
If it's expired, you can contact the owner. You can go knock on your door if you're brave enough. I'm not brave enough. You can write them a letter. You can send them a postcard. If you have their email, it's kind of hard to get their information, but you can. A lot of people mail out, or there's ways to get the phone numbers.
Right.
I've written a note and left it under their doormat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You do not want to put anything into their mailbox because that is off limit. Now, if you mail a letter to them, that's one thing, but it's illegal for us to just go around and put stuff into a mailbox.
Okay.
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 I have a question on the one that you withdrew. Was the buyer not interested in remediation to have the transaction move forward?
The buyer, it's going to take a while. We don't even know how long it's going to take. Now, if we get it fixed and come back on and she hasn't found a house, then there's a good chance that she would want to come back to it. But you know, chances are she's going to find a house. I don't know. It's only a $350,000 house in Commerce City, but yeah, it's disappointing, obviously, but that's unfortunate that these things sometimes come up. But again, withdrawn is if you're taking it off the market temporarily, and that can stay on until the end of your listing. Okay, so if this takes us a couple of months, I would just have to extend because I have it right now to expire the end of the year, but he wants to get it sold. So we'll probably have to extend the listing agreement so that he can get it back on the market. We just don't know how long this is going to take, because we're probably talking about taking all the roofing off and maybe the rafters, maybe scraping the rafters and putting sister rafters up, then putting on new planking, new plywood. But you can't just do it all at once in one day, because just think of it this way. You have a house that is kind of held together with the plywood up on the roofing. And if you took all the plywood apart, Now the house can kind of move. And so you have to kind of do it in sections. And of course, we're into winter time. So like today, you wouldn't be able to do this, or tomorrow, or the next day probably. So it's just a matter of timing and availability and being able to do this. Any other questions that you have, Rachel or Tisha? Do you have a question on
No,
status?
I don't have any more.
Okay. What else would you like to talk about? I'm trying to pull up. Why is I don't know what's going on.
What do you listen to, Bob?
I can't share. Let me try something real quick. Let me exit full screen. Let me get back into, I want to pull up RE Colorado. I don't, were either of you at the, at Coffee Talk on Monday?
I was not. I was under the weather.
Okay, I didn't think you were. Let's see. I showed a house that one of my clients had sent me, and he wanted to go take a look. And I said, well, before we do that, let me do a little investigation here and find out, because the area is notorious for having some cracking. So let's see here. It's coming. 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No,
No? You guys can't see my screen?
No.
no.
Mm-mm.
Okay, let me get this pulled up, and then I'm gonna go share it again. There, okay. Now let's go to share. Boom. Now you should be able to see it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I can see it.
You don't see it?
I can.
Oh, you can. Good, good. All right, we're back on track. So this house, do you know what I mean when I say a house is constructed slab on grade versus foundation, like a basement?
No.
Okay. Can you see my notebook?
Yes.
Okay. If this notebook is the concrete foundation floor, just a floor, and all it is concrete poured on dirt, what happens if the dirt moves or swells up or shifts?
And the house is going to
This
shift.
will crack and move around, right? When you have a basement, it's a different construction, and it's going to be structurally more have better integrity. When houses are built slab on grade, meaning they don't have a basement, and if they're not built on a crawl space, which is a space about 3 feet to 5 feet high, then if the soils move, the foundation moves, or I should say the slab moves, okay? So this house, and this is why you need to be careful when you're showing houses in areas that can have either bad soils or that type of construction. Let's see, I forget the name of the street that it's on, but let's find it. Because this house is a absolute disaster. Let's see, I'll find it here. And I'm going to show you how you can learn before you go out to show a little bit more about the house that you're going to show, because it's a big problem that people don't tell you the truth about the houses. And let's see, 500. I'm getting there. I got to find it again, unfortunately. I think it's on Lily. Let's go back. Have you shown many houses, Rachel?
Yeah, a decent amount.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that's subjective, right? But yes, I've mostly been working with buyers recently. And all the way from Arvada, Colorado Springs, Westminster, Lakewood. So
Unbelievable. I think this house went back on the
Ooh.
market, went back under contract. So here's the full listing. Okay. This is the area that it's in. So it's off of Washington Street. This is Old Thornton subdivision. So this is Washington, just to the east of I-25. This is Thornton Parkway. And on the south side, you have 88th Avenue. So it's basically this area right here. Most of these homes, not all of them, but most of them are built just slab on grade. Okay. Now, I want you to take a look. One of the first things I do when I pull up a listing is I go to history. That's that little round clock. What do you see? New listing, pending, back on the market, price decrease, price decrease, price decrease, pending, back on the market, price decrease, pending, back on the market, withdrawn, price decrease, pending, back on the market. And it just went back on the market, or went back under contract again. Okay. There's right there should tell you there's got to be a problem. Okay. Now, what you can do when you pull up history, you can look at the more recent solds of the house, whatever it might show. Well, notice this house was sold back in March. Doesn't look like the same house, does it? Now, you're going to be a little bit shocked when you see this.
Wow.
Uh-huh. All that cracking. How about that?
They
And
should just slow it down.
you're going to see inside, see how the floor had heaved, and they've kind of tried to cover it. If you put a golf ball like right here, it would just roll to that wall. Okay. This is not uncommon up there, but it's not really normal if they've taken care of the house and the water getting away from the house. But that house obviously has some very bad movement.
oh my gosh.
Okay.
Mm.
Now, another thing I want you to notice on this, who was the selling agent? It's Lisa Lucero with KW. Okay. Guess who the listing agent is on this house? Lisa Lucero. Does she know about the house? Are
Yeah.
I would hope.
we
Yeah.
bound to disclose anything that we know that is an issue about the house? Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to play the blame name on her, but I called just to ask, what can you tell me about the house as far as structure? And she said there's nothing. They just did stucco to make it prettier. I said, so you're going to tell me that there was really no, because that area is kind of notorious for stair step cracking in the brick and that kind of thing. And she said, nope. So it's a big problem. She's basically lying about the house, and she knows about the house because she sold the house. Okay.
And I'm assuming at some point in one of those back on the markets or pending, there was some sort of inspection.
But see, unfortunately, a lot of agents don't go back and look at history and just take a look at the house and say, okay, here's one they bought. Well, wow, they bought it in March. So it is a flip. Yep. And let's see. Oh my God. Yeah, it was terrible. And notice these cracks are in certain places. Typically your windows and your doorways are the weakest part of the brick fascia. The brick is not a structural part of a house. Brick is just a facade, but it tends to crack where there's a weakness, which is a window and a doorway. And that's where the cracking is, right? But you're going to find that on a lot of houses up there. in Thornton. Or anywhere where houses are built slab on grade. Notice even the backyard, the back of the house. See how it cracked off the window there, it cracked off the window here, it cracked off this window, it cracked off that window. It's very common. And in the house, you would notice cracks running diagonally off the window. Okay, that's just the way it is. Now, what else do you notice about the downspouts?
They're pouring right down into the foundation.
Right down to the foundation. See this, Tisha? It's the water is coming down and going right into the foundation.
Yeah, I see it.
Yep. Well, that isn't good. And especially when you have a slab on grade. Now, if this was a basement, it wouldn't have affected it as quickly, but it still would affect it. So anytime you see outside stair step cracking, it's noticed of movement. And I've even seen this bad of cracking on a house with a basement because the house is really impacted by probably water. Water is your number one enemy of the house. And what do we do with houses? We build them outside, right? They're outside. So we've got to keep as much water away from them as we can. I forget what the statistic is, but if you took this average size house and you said, we got an inch of rain, that roof is going to collect like hundreds of gallons of water that will be dispersed down in different areas due to where it drains and where the downspouts are. And you could be putting 600, 1,000 gallons, according to how much rain you get, how much snow melt you get, down into the right next to the foundation. It's really very simple when you look at it. See that downspout goes right there. Where is that? There's a crack there. It's downspout extensions are a very integral part of keeping a house from getting issues. So when you go show a house, and it's especially a fix and flip, if they don't have, or if they have brand new downspout extensions, chances are the house before didn't have them. So let's even see if these guys, well, there's a little bit of one there, not much. Let's go around back. And see, it looks very pretty inside. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it looks pretty inside. But obviously somebody, the inspectors are finding something, or people are going back and going, oh my God, this is what it looked like before they fixed it. Well, what did they do to fix it? Yeah, well, did they? So unbelievably, they haven't put on any extensions.
It looks like they just painted them.
I think they're probably new, but they could be
Okay.
just, they could be.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure. But here's another one. That's the same one.
Mm.
Let's go to the other corner if they'll show it. I'll be darned. They didn't put extensions on. Huh.
And the mulch is gonna make it
again,
good.
This house is already compromised, and now you start we're going into wintertime. It's going to start raining. This stucco that they put on there is not going to last forever. It's going to start having cracks come through, because unless you spent thousands of dollars structurally to repair that house, it's not fixed. It's just covered up. And that agent is doing a disservice. And if the future buyer of this house finds all of this out, she could be in a lot of trouble, as well as the flipper who probably has on their listing, we're not going to fill out a property disclosure because we've never lived there. No, you just put $50,000 into a house that you knew was a complete disaster, and you're not going to disclose that, right? So that's why I'm saying you guys have to be careful and check out as much as you can about the house. See, they don't mention anything in here. Oh,
Nope.
spacious living room that invites relaxation and social gatherings, if you can step over the cracks. Yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty discouraging that this happens.
Mm.
Now, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So when you're showing a house that's probably a fix and flip, be careful, because oftentimes this kind of stuff it doesn't get taken care of, right? Now, yeah, question?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm asking this correctly, but is there like a percent, like if a home has these foundational cracks, is there an indication? I guess my question is, let's see, do they often happen closer to when the home is built, or do they more often happen over time?
They happen over
Like if there's a
time.
foundation issue, yeah.
Yeah. And again, this is a slab, not a true foundation, because they just basically put up forms and they pour concrete and then they build on it. And as the soils move and shift and heave and everything, that causes problems. When you have a foundation and you have walls and you have however the structure is made below, whether it's on caissons or footings or however it's supported, then the only thing that's going to move in the basement typically is the floor. But the floors are supposed to move independently of the walls in a basement. They're not a structural part of the foundation. The walls are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the basement floor can still heave and move around and do funny things, right? So, hi Taylor.
Hello. Sorry, I
Oh.
got my times mixed up.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It's kind of a slow day with the snow and everything. So, let's see what else. Yeah, the other thing that I would do, that I always do, is I go to taxes and I look and see. Obviously, this is the owner now. This is the new owner. They bought it on 328 for 270. So, it just gives your buyer an indication of what they've done, what they've put into it. But I also go into realist tax, and especially in areas like Montbello, Green Valley Ranch, lots of older Denver, lots of Aurora, and I look and see, were they ever a foreclosure? Because that can sometimes tell you that the properties might have some problems with, you never know, meth is one of them. But you can look and go back as far as the records go back. Usually they'll go back around 2010, maybe a little further back. And if you see here that it's been the county has had it as a sale and it's been a foreclosure, I would highly, highly, highly recommend to your buyer to get a meth test. Okay. Or if it's been a rental for 100 years, the landlords, they don't know. They don't know what their people are doing in there. And then they go to sell and all of a sudden maybe they have a meth test and boom, you have a problem. Meth is pretty prominent. It's more prominent than we want to think. And I just had a house that they had a meth test, and shame on my people. They didn't want to get a meth test done. I should have said something to them and made them get it when we bought it 8 years ago, but they didn't. And when we went to sell their house, those people had it tested, and sure enough. Taylor, you have a question?
Yes. In Green Valley Ranch, also, there's private transfer fees, correct?
There is a private transfer fee, and it's I can't remember the amount, like 0.25% of the purchase price.
Okay. And when you go to find that, is that on like their HOA page, or is it best to ask the listing agent?
Listing agents don't often know.
Oh, good.
Yeah, a lot of times they aren't aware because they don't know, they don't care. They didn't sell them the house, they just got the listing. So it's a good idea anytime you write an offer anywhere that has an HOA is put any of the private transfer fee or anything like that, put it at as the responsibility of the seller. Once it's in the contract and it's agreed to, that's what it is. And then if it turns out that some areas don't allow the seller to pay for it, they only allow the buyer to pay for it. Now, I haven't sold last 2 years, 3 years ago, I sold 3 houses in Green Valley Ranch 1 year. So I made sure I asked for the seller to pay for them, and all 3 of them, the listing agents didn't know. And it saved my buyers quite a bit of money. But if they don't allow it, then they can come back and say the private or this transfer fee, whatever they want to call it, must be paid for by the buyer, which can be that way. But as the last time I sold out in Green Valley Ranch, no, actually I sold one last year too. That transfer was up to the contract, and I had the listing, and we got the listing, the contract came in to purchase and asked for the seller to pay for it. We countered that the buyer would pay for it, and they took it. And yeah, it's a pretty good chunk of money. And it's not like that everywhere, but anywhere there is an HOA, and if you're representing the buyer, ask for the seller to pay for it. Right? They may not. You may have to renegotiate or whatever, but yeah, absolutely. Does that answer your question, Em?
Yes, it did.
You have one under contract out there?
I have some buyers that are looking, and it's funny because this is actually on their list right now. Well, not anymore because it's pending, but they're looking in like northeast Denver. So like Green Valley Ranch, they're gonna want to go as far as Bennett as well. So I want to know if those new constructions, kind of like what the compensation payouts are as well. And then Green Valley Ranch, I knew of the private transfer fees. Trying to think if there was any other areas that I had stuff come up. I think those were the only
Green
two.
Valley Ranch has that where it's pretty expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the ones that I've seen in Bennett, I guess their HOA isn't really that bad. It's only like $850 on new builds. So
Well, as far as new builds, like in Bennett, I don't know what builders are out there now that you've looked at.
we haven't looked at any yet, but I can pull.
I know that I sold 5 houses to veterans at DR Horton out in Bennett when they first opened up out there, but I don't think they're still building there. In
Yeah, I can
fact,
pull them up.
3%, but DR Horton is 2.5% everywhere. Dream Finders, they're out in Strasburg, and I think they were 2.5%. And other than that, I'm not sure who's building out in Bennett now.
Yeah, let me see if I can find who it is. But yeah, anything else around new construction? I would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, number one, I always get houses inspected, even though they're brand new. And I usually, for whatever reason, a lot of my new home sales the last 3 or 4 years have been veterans, because they're offering low interest rates. If you use their lender, they're offering incentives and things. And so it works out well. I mean, a couple of the houses I had out there in Bennett, they were down in like 4% or 3.5% and $10,000 in closing costs and refrigerator and washer dryer. So it's just according, but I don't sell any kind of home built by LGI, KB Homes, Century Homes. I don't sell their houses brand new. I will sell a resale where we can have an inspection, but I don't trust LGI at all. I don't trust KB at all. And I don't trust Century, period. And that's just me. You're going to find people that sell them and they swear by them. But I've been around them too many times. I've seen it. I've talked to the builders years ago when they first came. something that a lot of people don't realize is KB Homes used to be called, many years ago, it was called Kaufman and Broad. And they came from California. And they came here about, oh man, I sold a couple of brand new homes of theirs. And back when they were Kaufman and Broad, they were pretty good. And then they reorganized and they became K&B Homes. And their quality went down quite a bit. And then they reorganized again and they became KB. And boy, if you talk to people who have lived in them, a lot of people have had nothing but problems with them. And yet they've become very popular because they were a lower end builder and people could afford them. So I don't trust them. And I don't want to sell a brand new house, but that's one reason I pay for an inspection, because I want to make sure whatever the builder is, whoever it is taken care of. I'm actually doing an inspection tomorrow on a new home in Aurora Highlands that Richmond is building. And Richmond is typically an okay builder, but we're going to keep them honest. And I never have an inspection done on a new home where we don't find something. We always find something. And look at it this way too, when your when your buyers go to look at the house and they do their walkthrough, where they put on their blue tape and make sure that the drawer is working right and the paint's touched up and all this, we don't go up into the attic. We don't get up on the roofing. We just all assume that it's all okay. We don't typically have the sewer line inspected. Now, some builders have gone to where they're actually giving you a copy of a sewer line inspection at closing and to assure you that that's all okay. But I have had, on a couple of inspections, I have had pieces of 2x4 in the sewer line. I had 2 houses that didn't have any insulation in the attic. We don't go up into the attic. So that's why I have an inspector. And, they say, well, we forgot, good catch, haha. Well, that's kind of a serious miss. And also the city should have caught that and they didn't. So.
These are Oakwood in Bennett.
Oakwood is pretty good overall. Yeah.
Lennar is one of them.
Yeah. Oakwood is very prominent in Green Valley Ranch. Very prominent. They're not the best builder, but they're way above KB Homes. Right? So, but
yeah, Oakwood and Lennar is what I'm seeing.
Lennar is typically 1% to a buyer's agent or a fixed amount. I have seen them like in their higher end areas. I think where they're building over there across from Red Rocks, I think they're offering like $10,000, and those houses are like $700,000-800,000 houses, 900.
Crazy.
So, but that's also a bad area for soils, just so you know. The area that's down below Solterra, excuse me, Solterra had some problems. The houses that are built down below that are closer to the highway now, that's the new construction of, I think it's mostly Lennar. Those soils in there were super wet and don't think they reconditioned them that great. In fact, Jim Serco, the structural engineer that came, he has been out there to see 4 or 5 houses. So it's a problem. And there's areas like that. So, but another thing to check when you're in Green Valley Ranch, if you're selling a resale, is look at it, because Green Valley Ranch and Montbello had some of the highest number of foreclosures we had. I was out there in Green Valley Ranch pretty much every week looking at foreclosures for the bank I worked with. So it's a good idea just to know, because there was a lot of fix and flips done. A lot of fix and flips they didn't pull permits, they didn't do things right, and the houses were not that great. Now, did I lose who do we have here? Oh, good. We did lose Rachel. Rachel left, or is she on an iPhone? Anyway, Taylor, any other questions, or Tesha?
No, I think that was
No.
it. I'm trying to think if I have any other ones.
Okay,
As
know-
far as like an uncompleted home for new construction, is
Mhm.
there anything different there, or is it just really you're going under contract on something that still needs to be finished?
The one that's still being built?
Yes.
Yeah, that's totally, you're gonna wait to have an inspection until it's completed.
Yep.
But I would walk it some and just make sure it looks, like it's supposed to. And 90% of the time, builders are gonna take the responsibility to do everything correctly. But they don't always do it with the best of care.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I stay away from some of those builders I mentioned, just because through the years, I've noticed that they've had a problem delivering quality.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
that's it.
Awesome.
Tisha, I know that a lot of this didn't pertain, but don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any other questions, or if you want to jump on RE Colorado sometime and just do a search, and I'll help you there. Okay.
Okay,
All right. Well, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
thank you, bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Yes, sir.
Bye.